Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Sassy Social Worker channel, designed with you in mind, talking about all things mental health all the time, whether it's myself or whether it's others. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm back with another video. Gonna jump right into it. I know everybody is pressed for time, mostly all the time, but today I'm gonna be talking about, the saturation of the life coach versus LCSW. Life coach is a term that has been really gaining momentum, steam. I did some research today myself and saw that UGA even offers a course. I'm in Georgia, so UGA is the University of Georgia. Go Dogs, as a lot of people would say. But they have their own. They offer a course, right? There's this course that they offer, no prerequisites required. And when I say prerequisites, for people who are not familiar with that term, meaning there's nothing that you had to do first. So for instance, in order to become a master level social worker, you first have to get your bachelor's in the same thing, or your bachelor's in social work, to then move forward to become a master of social work and get your MSW. So there's no prerequisite with this. You can simply pay. I think it looks like it's $18.95 for the course, 40-hour course to become a life coach. But I started thinking about what that term meant. What is a life coach? And I think I told you guys in the first video, my intro, that I'm a LCSW, right? I'm clinically trained, right? What is clinically trained? So I wrote down the definition. I wrote it out, and it's clinical, relating to the observation and treatment of actual patients rather than theoretical or laboratory studies. So it's almost like practical application. When we say practicality, practical application, meaning that, we've actually walked it out. I've had to be observed with different clients. I think for my master's program, we did something called process recordings. I don't know if my other social workers remember process recordings, but that's when we actually wrote out, either wrote out or videotaped ourselves with the client, talking about a different issue that they were having, doing more of the like therapeutic practices. Not to mention, as a LCSW and clinician, I don't know about any other states, but in Georgia, we were required, before I could get fully licensed. There's a master level licensure, and then there's the LMSW, and then you can become fully licensed and supersede the LMSW and become an LCSW, a licensed clinical social worker, able to practice independently. I had to complete a total of 3,000 hours of supervision, meaning staffing cases. It's very meticulous. You keep track, you keep your hours, you keep up with all that stuff. So there was a requirement that said, hey, we need to observe you for this period of time. So I got to thinking, no shade to the life coaches. I know this might be a controversial topic, but I got to thinking about, the saturation in that field. What is a life coach? What is it defined by? I'm probably going to do a part 2. But I really wanted to talk about how we sometimes as a society, we lump everything in together. Oh, a life coach is an LCSW, is an LPC. And it's like, no, I can't let you guys off the hook with that. No shade, again, to, life coaches. I think, they serve their purpose. But I think the work, the difference is in the work, the training, the hours, the clinical knowledge. Really being trained. I took a course called psychotherapy. It was probably one of my most favorite, not psychotherapy, but psychopathology, with one of my favorite professors at Valdosta State. Big shout out to Dr. Vody. I hope he's doing well. But, he taught a course where we talked about the patterns. We talked about strategies and techniques, dealing with patients who might have psychosis, delusions, different things that came up, complex trauma. I mean, so many things, real techniques that had been proven what we call empirical evidence. I hope I'm saying that right. I probably didn't, but real studies that have been shown and proven in ways to be able to help clients who may be in dark places. So I wanted to talk about that today, and how we have to draw the line, right? Because a lot of times people aren't, people used to be reverence for their work, right? You wouldn't tell a doctor, oh, I could do that. I could just go, get a certificate and do that at any time, and, no, doctors go through residency, they're pre-med, then they go to school, they rack up debt, all these things. It's hard to become a doctor, right? So, when we don't honor that, or when we don't value that the way we need to, it's almost like you diminish that value, right? It's diminished, because it's almost like, well, anybody can do it, and that's simply not the case. So I want to talk today just about the differences, not better, just different, right? I know as an LCSW, I have colleagues who are also LCSWs. Big shout out to you guys. We work hard, right? We worked really hard. Them 3,000 hours, them supervisors, them staffings. I worked on a mental health unit for a long time. Dealing with feces and getting urine thrown at me. All those things were a part of my journey, a part of those hours, a part of gaining the experience. So when we talk about, being a clinician, it holds a different type of value, not better, but just different. So I really wanted to kind of pick your brains today about, what are your thoughts? What are your, perspectives on this life coach, versus, licensed, clinician, type thing, because we also have LPCs. Big shout out to my LPCs, licensed professional counselors, LMFTs, licensed marriage and family therapists. All of us have worked tremendously hard. So today when I was on UGA's website and I saw that they were just offering a 40-hour course, that's great. But when you look at the two side by side, it's almost like apples and oranges, at least from my perspective. So again, not trying to stir the pot, but I really am. I really want to hear your perspectives. I want to know what you guys think about it. Do you have a life coach? What do you feel like the differences are? I'm seeing a lot of people get these life coaching certificates, and it's just a difference. It's just a major difference. And coming from a LCSW, again, I've worked tremendously to get to where I'm at. And when you consider things like Medicare, when you consider something like 1013s, for, if you guys don't know what a 1013, that's almost like, it's not almost, it is an involuntary commitment to a psychiatric hospital. So say for instance, a client is presenting with signs and symptoms, they're talking about hurting themselves, they're going to hurt someone else, they're psychotic, they're delusional, they're what we call tangential in speech, talking about a lot of different things that aren't really cohesive, they don't make sense. They're going to be 1013. We sign off. I can sign off on a 1013. A life coach, I don't know. I don't believe that to be true. So when I talk about the apples and oranges, we have a lot of accountability. We have a lot of oversight. I used to work for a shelter for children, an emergency shelter, and they had something called room, board, and watchful oversight, RBWOs. So when we talk about the oversight of organizations, who's keeping us accountable, who's making sure that we're following a code of ethics, and that we're staying on the straight and narrow. We're not doing things we're not doing any harm. We have something called do no harm, to our clients. Who's keeping us in line? Who's keeping us in track? I know for a fact that LCSWs have that through the NASW. Big shout out to NASW. I'm not a part of any chapters right now, but I've gotten a lot of good things, a lot of good valuable information from the NASW. So big shout out to them. But again, I want to know your thoughts. I'm not saying better. Again, I'm not saying anybody is right or wrong, but I am curious to know that with the influx of life coaches, who's qualified, who's unqualified? Because my opinion is that almost anybody can be a life coach. We're all living, right? We're all doing life, so we're all an expert in something, whether that's good or bad. We all can kind of share our own experiences and give advice. So what I want to establish more of is the need for the oversight, right? No one just wakes up and does this. This is taking me, as I mentioned in my intro, I've been in a social worker for probably almost 15 years. So this is an ongoing work, and I'm not even done yet. You got people who've been in the field for 30 years. You got people who've been in the work in the field for 50 plus years. So we don't want to diminish their work. So again, let me know what you guys think. Again, I'll probably come back with a part 2 and give you guys some meat and potatoes in terms of some of the courses and sites that are offered. I'm gonna put the UGA link in the description. So if you are interested in being a life coach, hey, go take a look and see about the course. But again, if you're interested in being an LCSW, if you're interested in being an LPC, it's gonna take a little bit of time, right? We're in a world where it's instant gratification, right? We want it now, we need it now. But when you're coming up in this field, you got to know it's gonna take some time. I think there's a saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. So becoming an LCSW did not happen overnight for me. And I think as a LCSW, I just want to be valued for that. I want to be valued for the time, the blood, sweat, and tears that I have put into this field. So again, let me know what you guys think. Make sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.